I never thought English would change my life. But one day, everything changed. My name is Amelia, and I am from Spain. I work as an office assistant, handling emails, organizing documents, and supporting my manager. My job wasn't bad, but I had one major problem. I couldn't speak English well. Every morning, I watched my colleagues speak confidently in English. They shared ideas in meetings, made jokes, and got opportunities to work on international projects. I wanted to be like them, but I couldn't. Whenever my boss asked me something in English, I panicked. My hands got sweaty, my heart raced, and I could barely say a full sentence. Instead of answering, I just smiled nervously and said, "Sorry, I don't understand." At lunch, my colleagues discussed business trends, travel, and exciting projects, all in English. I sat in silence, eating my food quickly so I could leave. I felt like an outsider, trapped in my own world. One day, I received an email about an important meeting with a client from another country. My boss asked me to prepare a presentation in English. I stared at the screen. My mind went blank. I tried using a translator, but the sentences didn't make sense. I spent 3 hours writing just one paragraph, and when I read it aloud, it sounded wrong. The next morning, I entered the meeting room, holding my notes tightly. The client smiled and started speaking in English. I nodded, pretending to understand, but inside, I felt lost. When it was my turn to speak, my hands shook. I tried reading my notes, but the words felt foreign. I mispronounced simple words, and my sentences were a mess. My boss gave me a disappointed look. The client looked confused, and at that moment, I knew. I was holding myself back. That afternoon, I overheard my boss talking to a colleague. "Amelia's hardworking, but she struggles with English. I don't think she's ready for bigger responsibilities yet." His words hit me like a brick. I wasn't just embarrassing myself, I was losing opportunities. That night, I sat alone in my room, thinking about everything I had missed because of my English: promotions, new projects, even simple conversations with my colleagues. I told myself, enough. I have to change. That was the moment I decided to learn English. For real this time. I knew I had to change. But where do I even start? That night, I searched online, how to learn English fast. I found thousands of tips: watch movies, read books, take classes, but everything felt overwhelming. I had tried before and failed. What if I failed again? But this time, it was different. I wasn't just learning English for fun. I needed it for my career and future. The next morning, I made a plan. I decided to start small, focusing on 3 simple habits: learn 5 new words every day, watch English videos with subtitles, and practice speaking, even if it was just to myself. On my way to work, I replaced my music with English podcasts. At lunch, I wrote down new words from emails that I didn't understand. In the evening, I watched YouTube videos of office conversations and repeated the sentences. At first, it felt strange. I stood in front of my mirror, pretending to have meetings. "Hello, nice to meet you. I can handle that task by Monday. Could you please repeat that?" My pronunciation was terrible. I stumbled over words and felt silly talking to myself. But I reminded myself, this is how I get better. One day, I was in the office break room when my manager walked in. "Amelia, can you send the report by noon?" he asked. Normally, I would freeze or smile awkwardly. But this time, I took a deep breath and replied, "Yes, I will send it soon." It was just one sentence, simple and short. But for me, it was a victory. Encouraged, I joined an evening English class in my city. The teacher was kind and patient, and every week, we practiced speaking. One evening, she asked me, "Amelia, tell me about your job." I hesitated. I knew the words in my head, but they wouldn't come out. I took a deep breath and tried. "I work in an office. I help my manager with emails." It wasn't perfect, but my teacher smiled and said, "Great start. Keep going." That moment gave me hope. After 3 months of practice, something amazing happened. At work, my manager asked me to call a client, in English. My hands shook as I picked up the phone. My voice trembled, but I did it. Hello, this is Amelia speaking. How can I help you? For the first time, I felt proud. I was no longer just learning English. I was becoming confident in it. Learning English had become part of my daily routine. I practiced speaking in front of the mirror, listened to podcasts on my way to work, and attended my evening classes. I had improved a lot, but I still felt nervous using English at work. I could understand more, but when it came to speaking in front of others, my voice still shook, and my mind sometimes went blank. One afternoon, my manager called me to his office. He looked at me and said, Amelia, we have a new position opening up, office coordinator. It's a promotion, and I think you'd be great for it. My heart skipped a beat. A promotion? This was exactly what I wanted. But then, he continued, it involves working with international clients and handling calls in English. If you're interested, you'll need to interview for it next week. Excitement turned into panic. An interview? In English? My hands felt cold just thinking about it. But then I reminded myself, I had come so far. I wasn't going to let fear stop me now. That night, I prepared like never before. I watched videos about job interviews, practiced answering common questions, and recorded myself speaking. I noticed my mistakes and corrected them. Why do you want this job? I repeated the question to myself over and over. Because I love organizing tasks and helping teams work efficiently. The day of the interview arrived. I walked into the conference room, my heart pounding. 2 managers sat across from me, smiling. The first question came. Tell us about yourself. I took a deep breath and spoke slowly. My name is Amelia. I work as an office assistant, and I have been improving my skills in organization and communication. I enjoy working in a team and helping my colleagues. It wasn't perfect, but they understood me. I gained confidence as the interview continued. I made small mistakes, but I didn't let them stop me. When the interview ended, one of the managers smiled and said, Thank you, Amelia. We'll be in touch soon. A week later, I got a phone call. Congratulations, Amelia! You got the job. I couldn't believe it. I had done it. I had proved to myself that learning English was worth it. As I walked into my new office, I thought back to the moment I had struggled in my first client meeting. Now I was working with international clients and speaking English every day. My journey wasn't over, but I had taken a huge step forward. Stepping into my new office as an office coordinator felt surreal. Just a few months ago, I had been terrified of speaking English, and now I was handling international calls, coordinating with clients, and even leading small meetings. At first, I was still nervous. Every time my phone rang, I took a deep breath before answering. My hands trembled slightly when I had to explain something in English. But unlike before, I didn't freeze. I kept going, even when I made mistakes. One day, my manager asked me to join a video conference with a foreign client. I sat at the table, my heart racing. The client spoke quickly, and I couldn't understand everything. But instead of panicking, I calmly said, Could you please repeat that? He smiled and repeated his sentence. This time, I understood. I had done it. I was communicating in English with confidence. Over time, I became comfortable. Speaking English felt more natural. I could joke with my colleagues, share my ideas in meetings, and help my company grow. One day, during lunch, one of my coworkers told me, Amelia, your English has improved so much. You sound so confident now. That moment made me reflect on how much I had changed. Before, I was scared of speaking, afraid of making mistakes, and embarrassed in meetings. Now, I was part of important discussions, getting new opportunities, and feeling in control of my future. One of the biggest rewards came when my boss called me into his office again. He said, Amelia, we're expanding our business to new markets. Would you be interested in leading the communication with our international clients? A year ago, I would have said no. But today, I smiled and confidently said, Yes, I'd love to. Learning English changed my life. It gave me confidence, career growth, and new opportunities. If you feel nervous about learning English, don't worry. Everyone starts somewhere. Start small. Learn new words every day. Practice speaking, even if it's just in front of a mirror. Don't fear mistakes. Every mistake is a step forward. Believe in yourself. If I did it, so can you. English isn't just a language, it's a door to a better future. Keep learning, keep practicing, and one day you'll look back and say, I did it too.